what in God's name happened with Joe Douglas, Adam Gase, and the pitiful New York Jets yesterday?
Yeah, so guys, first off, it's a pleasure to be here. And if you took this contract right after Le'Veon signed it and said, imagine the worst case scenario, I still think that what happened was worse than that. So, then right away you knew it was a failure. 2 months after they signed him, you had Adam Gase coming out and saying, we like the player, we don't really like the pay. And so right away he's already diminishing Bell's value. And it did not get better from there. He played 17 games as a Jet, got $28 million, and he never even had one run at 28 yards. His longest run as a Jet was 19 yards. The horrible stats go on and on. He averaged 3.3 yards a carry as a Jet, 4.3 as a Pittsburgh Steelers. So clearly, we like to blame Adam Gase a lot, and he sure did not use Bell appropriately. He had 90 less touches in New York than he did in Pittsburgh the year before his contract holdout. out. But you can't average a yard less a carry. Like, that's just unacceptable. And I think you can make the case that his best athletic accomplishment as a New York Jet, was when he bowled a 251 the night before a game. So he had the flu. He was already out for Sunday. That Saturday night, he bowled a 251, and I don't think he did anything on the field that was more impressive than that.
No, I would agree. Le'Veon Bell as a New York Jet was a failure, more so than any I can really think of. If you think of, when I was younger, the Hall of Fame running back they had was Curtis Martin, and then that worked out pretty well for them. His name's in the rafters. But Le'Veon Bell did not. And I don't think that is Le'Veon Bell's fault. And I know that the numbers that you just laid out are pitiful. He had I believe I heard he had the worst yards per carry in the history of the New York Jets last year for somebody with over 200 touches. But the offensive line was horrible, the worst ever. And the coach is horrible, the worst ever. And nobody, even Le'Veon Bell, even Curtis Martin, dare I say even Walter Payton, would average 4.3 yards per carry in that offense. They're just not going to. And you know what? If he has the worst yards per carry in Jets history going into the last few weeks of the season, how about we use him in the passing game outside of a negative 3-yard screen? The failures of Adam Gase can be shown in two people, and those two people, to me, are Sam Darnold and Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell, you could look to the past and say this guy was amazing, and then he came to Adam Gase and he was terrible. And Sam Darnold, we might be able to look into the future and say, well, under Adam Gase, he was terrible. Even under Todd Bowles, he was better than he is now. And when he goes to name the team, Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, San Francisco, anything that you can name, he might be better. Obviously, you could do that with Ryan Tannehill, Jarvis Landry, any amount of people. But Kelly, this to me is the epitome of Adam Gase as a New York Jets head coach, which is awful.
I mean, you mentioned Sam Darnold. I would also throw in Jamal Adams in there. I mean, you get an all-pro safety, and he leaves in July, traded to Seahawks because he wanted out, because he didn't like the culture there. He didn't like the program. And here you have Bell. Yes, they release him, but not because Bell didn't make it clear that he didn't want to be on this Jets team, and for good reason. I mean, you mentioned his stats going down. In 17 games with them, he only had 3 rushing touchdowns. And to me, that's not just him. He was an all-pro running back for the Steelers. You don't just go from all-pro running back to 3 touchdowns in 17 games. So yeah, you mentioned the O-line's been struggling, terrible coach. And this kind of all blew up when he went on Twitter after their 30-10 loss to Arizona on Sunday. And he kind of was favoriting tweets that were like saying, oh, Adam Gase isn't using Le'Veon Bell right. He's not getting the touches he needs. He's not being integrated into the offense. And he favorited all those tweets. And I think there's something to be said for that. He really should be, he should, considering how bad the Jets are and how bad their offense is, the fact that he only was targeted once in the passing game, that whole game, there's a reason he's frustrated. There's a reason he wants to go somewhere else. So yeah, I agree. I think this really falls on the Jets, as do most of their problems. And I think it starts with the front office and their head coach.
I want to go back to what you just said. Sorry, Ryan. I just want to go back to what you said with Jamal Adams, because what he said was this culture is terrible, and what Le'Veon Bell said was I'm being used incorrectly, which is kind of two ways of saying the same thing. And those things fall on Joe Douglas and Adam Gase. And I'm not ready to fire Joe Douglas yet, but I'm ready to put him on the hot seat. And I've been ready to fire Adam Gase since the day after he was hired. But I think what you are looking at here is the the three-headed monster of Christopher Johnson, Joe Douglas, and really not Adam Gase, just Christopher Johnson and Joe Douglas, now picking their head coach over their two best players within 3 months of each other.
Right.
So how are Ryan and I, or any Jets fan at all, or any football fan, anybody who's commenting on the league, supposed to say with confidence that they're going to fire him in January? That's my question as somebody who can see I'm not the greatest football mind. I'm not an offensive genius, and neither is Adam Gase. Christopher Johnson might call me an offensive genius because he thinks Adam Gase is, but I'm not. But I could see that this guy can't do it. We all can. So, but Christopher Johnson doesn't. So why am I supposed to believe he's going to be fired?
And going off to what you said, it's just the way that this team was built. I mean, how you build teams is GM, coach, quarterback. This was the exact opposite. You got the quarterback first, then they brought in Gase, and then they brought in Douglas. And to what you were saying, Douglas didn't sign Bell, and it might be the reason he has the job, because after McCagnon, the former GM, signed Bell, that's when the rift between him and Gase started. Eventually, Gase won the power struggle. And we see, again, Gase wins yet another power struggle. Jamal Adams, as Kelly brought up, and now Le'Veon Bell. And it has to stop at some point, right? You just have to look in the mirror one time and realize, this guy's an issue too. It's not everyone around him.
Right. How many games do they need to lose before enough is enough?
16.
16.
16,
Yeah.
That's your number?
16 is the answer.
However many are in a season.
Yeah.
So where does Le'Veon Bell go next? I know he obviously part of the reason that they released him is because they couldn't really find anyone to trade with him. He's 28 years old. He's getting older, obviously coming off a few injuries, not the best seasons. Where do you guys see him going next?
I mean, I think it's just going to be wherever he can go, because no one was willing to even trade a seventh rounder from him. He had absolutely no value in the market. So he's going to have to build up his value somewhere. If I were him, I'd go somewhere that gives him touches. I know KC just is rumored. The Chiefs are rumored to be interested in him. Wherever he thinks he can succeed the most and try to get another payday and try to maybe sucker some other franchise into giving him a ton of money, that's what I would do if I was him.
I think the reason that he wasn't traded wasn't because of his on-field abilities. It was because of his contract and his salary hit, which now doesn't exist anymore. So I think he will play. I don't think he'll play in week 6, but he'll play eventually this season. I saw something that he had interest in Miami, but Miami didn't have interest in him, which I thought was very interesting. People are saying Pittsburgh. I don't see Pittsburgh at all, actually. I think he really burned down a bridge there with Pittsburgh that I don't think he can just reconstruct in a matter of a couple of years. As a Jets fan, I hope he goes to a contender and rushes for 500 yards in the last 10 games of the season and wins the Super Bowl. Honestly, I do. But I don't know where he's going to go because there are injuries. Maybe he'll go to the Giants, but they just signed Devonta Freeman, so I don't think they're going to get him. Raheem Mostert is back for San Francisco, so that would have been an interesting spot for an offense who needs a little spark. Maybe he goes to I just lost the team. I don't know. I don't know where he's going to go. It's a very weird running back market right now for a guy who hasn't shown that he can really get it done, that he's going to take an offense over the edge.
I think
for me, I was about to say I'm a Patriots fan. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we've seen Bill Belichick do it before, literally with AB, former teammate. At the same time, though, I don't know if I love that move being a Patriots fan. I think a good fit for him would actually be Chicago. Ryan Pace is building up this team. Now they have Nick Foles pretty much as their quarterback for now. And I think adding a weapon like Bell would really help them, especially with Tariq Cohen just tearing his ACL. So he's going to be out for the year. The Bears, they're ranked, I believe, 25th in the NFL in total rushing yards and last in rushing scores. So he could definitely go in there and help them. And if he's worried about not getting used enough, this would be a great team to get some usage out of.
I like that a lot, actually. The team I was thinking of was Tampa Bay, by the way, because Leonard Fournette is hurt, but sounds like he's going to come back.
And going back to New England, it would be the most Belichick, turn the Jets trash into your treasure move that he's done countless times. He kills this organization, and it would be so him to take Le'Veon Bell off the street when he has absolutely no value, build him back up. Sony Michel's banged up. Rex Burkhead and Damian Harris aren't spectacular talents, so he could be a fit there. But, yeah, I don't think, as Chris said, week 6 realistic for him, but he will play the season for sure.